Good evening, sir, and my fellow student. Today I'm going to talk and going to present about OP PBT 1. So, my name is Vaigish and my partner name is MARIARULDEVAN. Today going to present PBT OP. Okay, okay. For this part, we use the file name hotel and system.java. So, so our class name is hotel and system, and integer day equal to 0 is declare and initialize for variable. And for the next thing is float pay equal to 0, total equal to 0, service equal to 0, total land equal to 0 is declare and initialize for variable. And the next one, float balance equal to 0 is declare and initialize for variable. And string name comma IC is declare and initialize for variables. Okay, and we have to add password, such as we have to put password, then 1234, so that the authentication will be successful. And our user input the name using scanner is customer name. So like name equal to customer name dot next is after next there is no integer because it is a string value. And system dot out dot print number IC is user input. IC is no using scanner, and IC equals to customer IC dot next is after next there is no integer because it is also a string value. So there's a three choice of room. First is standard room, deluxe room, executive room. So the next is integer room type. So room value is the integer that is 1 2 3, and this statement is nested. Okay, for the next one is integer roommate room type. So the room value is in int, that is 1 2 3. And the next one is nested if statement, roommate equal 1, and system dot out dot print please enter the number of days. So that is our user input the day. And there's a catch the mismatch input, which is input mismatch exception. And system dot out dot printing try again. If the wrong input, it will pop out incorrect input, and the integer value is required. And the next line is discard input. So the next is total equal to 100 times day. So calculate the length by multiply the length and day. Service equal total times 5 divided by 100, which is calculate the service charge by multiply. And service charge is RM plus service plus 0. So that so the next is total length equal total plus service. Calculate the total length by add the total and service. Next is pay equal to payment dot next float. Read the float value. balance equal paid equal total rent. Calculate balance by sub the grand total and the payment. Next is pay equal to payment dot next float is read the float value. Okay, balance equal pay minus total rent is calculate balance by the sub the grand total and the payment, and else if the room type equal to is nested if statement, and system dot out dot printout please enter number of day, user input the day, catch the mismatch input for which is catch input mismatch exception x, system dot out dot printout try again if the wrong input it will pop out again, like the same side as we see this earlier before. So as same lah, discard input, there's a total equal to 120 times day, calculate the rent by multiply the rent and day. So service equal to total times 8 divided by 100, calculate the service charge by multiply, total rent equal to total plus service, calculate the total rent by add the total and service, system dot out dot print. Okay, this we have to add, please enter the payment, so we have to add a payment, example payment, then it will read the float value. Okay, these are the total rent. It calculate the total rent by add the total and service, and for balance it calculate the balance by sub and the grand total and the payment, catch the mismatch input. Okay, so there's a user input the day, which is please enter the number of the day, like we can add how many days we are staying in this hotel, so that we can get the output. So this is system dot out dot printing. So there's if as usual, if you enter incorrect input, if the wrong input it will pop up. So the next one is calculate the rent by multiplying the rent and day, so like such as 150 times day. Okay, there's also total times self divided by 100, which is calculate the service charge by multiply, total plus services, which is total rent, is calculate the total rent by add total and services. Okay, there's a total rent, which is calculate the total rent by add the total and services, and there's a payment dot next float, which is it can read the float value, and for balance is pay minus total rent, so you can calculate balance by sub the grand total and payment. Okay, the next one is please enter valid room type. If the user input wrong value for date, receipt of the booking, if consists the customer name, customer IC, number of days they staying, room type which they choose, rent, service charges for the rooms, get the price, grand total, the payment that made by the customer, and the balance you give to the customer. These are the receipts. Hotel Balipolitan Caribbean, Hotel 2 Balipulau, non-salad. Okay, there's a fax number, telephone number, and number IC, and customer name, and there's a 3 types of room. Okay, these are the receipt. As usual, there's a customer name, IC number, and there's a 3 types of room, what type of room, when do, when we'll be staying, rent, Service charge, total rent, payment from customer, balance.
Thanks, Mr. Vaigish. Now I'll present the output for this presentation. Okay, as you can see here, if we enter the wrong password, we will get an authentical failed, which means that the password we put isn't registered or we didn't include in the coding just now. So whatever we try to do, no matter how many times we try, unless there's a correct password, there will be authentication failed. That's all. So if you put the right password, it will be process complete. Okay, for the room type 1, as we can see, that's an authentication successful. Then for the customer name, we have put Vaigish Raj JAYASILAN, then his IC number. Then there are three types of rooms: standard room, deluxe room, and executive room. So we must choose from what room we want. So if we type 1 or just 1, and the number of days you want to stay, it will show the amount of rent, the amount of service charge, the total rent. Then you will enter our payment. For example, if we pay 845 ringgit, the balance will be 5 ringgit. So as you can see here, we have chosen for room number type 1, and we are staying here for 8 days. So that is for room type 1. For room type 2, it's the same procedure. But if we change to room number 2, which is also the deluxe room, then we should enter the number of days we're going to stay. So it will show the amount of rent we'll get, the service charge, and also the total rent. That will be the all concluded total rent. Then the amount of payment we will pay. For example, if we pay 910 ringgit, our balance will be 2 ringgit and 79 cents. 2 ringgit 79 or 80 cents lah. So for each room has different types of payments, rent charge, and all of that. So here's the room number 3, room number type 3. For executive room, it's much more expensive, or the most expensive here. So if we stay there for 7 days, the rent will be 1500, sorry, RM 1050 ringgit. The service charge will be 126 ringgit. So the total rent will be 1076 ringgit. So we will pay about 1200 ringgit, and the balance we will get is 24 ringgit. So that's the type of rooms and the amount of payments you will give and receive the balance. That's all for this output. Thank you.